Have you ever had a day that started out fine, but then everything went sideways? Well, buckle up because you're about to see a lot of Seattle drivers that can relate. Now, they say it takes two to tango, but Seattle drivers are able to get into some compromising situations without any external help. That's embarrassing, but at least they missed the pole, unlike these next two drivers. Watch the top of your screen for some bright yellow headlights coming towards us. This driver completely fails to navigate the curve coming off the Aurora bridge, and they just demolish a power pole, knocking out power to that side of the street. Incidentally, if you like seeing power poles being destroyed, you should check out my Quick Clips video from a few months ago. It features all kinds of things taking out power poles, including truck drivers, car drivers, and trees. I'll post a link in the description. Now keep an eye on this silver car in the right lane. The driver manages to drift off the road and right into a utility pole. No idea how they managed that, or how they managed to breathe and walk at the same time. Some things in life are just mysteries. Now watch the scooter driver waiting for a walk signal. Literally, just a foot or two away from death. I try to keep these videos lighthearted and funny, but I also think it's important to remember that terrible drivers like these do cause more than just property damage. They also kill and injure people on our streets, and unfortunately, I have plenty of those crashes on video as well. I've made the decision not to upload them for the time being, but I think it's important to be aware of all the possible outcomes of bad driving. Okay, lecture over. Moving on to Lake City, where this dude is just trying to get home with a pizza. And we've got a car into the side of a building. If that dude had paid for his pizza 5 seconds faster, this would have been a very different video. We see the driver getting out and checking on his passenger who has collapsed onto the ground. The driver spends about 20 seconds trying to get his passenger up before fleeing the scene. Thankfully, a ton of bystanders, including a dude on crutches, come racing up to help the passenger until medics can arrive. Now the very next day we see another crash at the same spot, this time a rear-end collision. Now I noticed something strange when the camera zoomed out a little bit later. There's a Cybertruck on scene. Now we all know Cybertrucks are ugly and stupidly expensive, but they might also be harbingers of doom. Consider, here's a Cybertruck driving by on the bottom of the screen. 11 seconds later, we have a crash. But wait, there's more. Another Cybertruck, bottom right corner. Before that truck is even a block away, we have a sideswipe crash involving a rainbow van. Are you seeing the pattern yet? Those clips are from Bellevue, but here's one from Seattle. We've got a Cybertruck coming towards the camera on the left. On the right, a pedestrian, possibly blinded by how dumb the truck is, walks into the path of traffic, and a driver following too closely crashes into the car in front of them. Okay, off to Bellevue for one more clip. A pickup truck driver runs a red light and crashes into a Cybertruck. Now, I'm not saying the Cybertruck is at fault in any of these crashes, but their malevolent presence may well play a role. We, of course, have many more red light runners. Watch this school bus at the top of your screen. They appear to be approaching a yellow light which turns red. The car beside them stops, but they continue on and collide with the Metro bus. This could have been a lot worse. Thankfully, there did not appear to be any injuries, and the damage to the school bus seemed to be very minor. Still a terrifying situation, especially as a parent. All right, the red light running continues. Top of your screen, the buses have a green light, but this yellow van driver does not even slow down, and the impact sends the bus right towards people on the sidewalk. Luckily, they're able to scramble out of the way. Again, no serious injuries reported. Third and Yesler, top of your screen again, as a pickup truck driver runs a red light, causes a collision, and then makes the decision to flee the scene. What a jerk. Third and University, the driver coming towards us has a red light. The driver with the green can almost stop in time, but they can't quite avoid a crash. Fourth and Olive now, the car coming toward us has a green light, but the driver of a red car runs their light at pretty high speed. Now, this same intersection was the scene of a double fatality crash that was featured in our last video. Thankfully, that's not the outcome here. 5th and Madison, this driver is stopped at the red light when they decide to just go for some reason, and they're immediately hit. I hate them. This camera at 5th and Dearborn is usually broken, but it came to life just long enough to capture this crash. No sight obstructions, just driver being terrible. Moving north now to 7th and 45th, where we see a driver run a very stale red light. The at-fault driver then leaves their car in the middle of the road and stands in a lane of travel at night while wearing black. Just a night of bad decisions for this person, presumably following a lifetime of other bad decisions. Up on Roosevelt, this driver starts to slow down for the red light, but then they just drive through it anyway. And of course, collide with an innocent driver. Okay, back downtown for one last red light crash. This driver makes it up a wet, steep Seattle hill, but they can't avoid a red light runner at the top. Of course, Seattle's hills give a lot of drivers trouble. Same spot, watch this black SUV roll backwards into the vehicle behind them. Now, for some reason, this driver decides to turn a minor collision into a crime by fleeing the scene. Moving on to the Montlake Bridge, keep an eye on this black SUV. It seems that the driver might not be paying quite enough attention, because watch what happens when traffic starts to break. They swerve into the other lane, hit the vehicle next to them, and almost get in a head-on crash. Now, that vehicle that was just missed had a dash cam. I'll link to it in the description. Finally, the West Seattle Bridge on the far right lane. We have a driver who does not stop in time for the traffic slowing in front of them, leading to a rear-end collision. We've got a few more rear-end collisions for you. Watch the stopped traffic here on Rainier. They get smashed into by another driver who was probably smashed themselves. Here near Green Lake, we have a rear-end collision that was both minor and completely preventable. Finally, watch this gold car as they drive directly into the back of the car in front of them. The dog in the bottom right corner was like, "What the hell is that?" We're all kind of wondering the same thing. Speaking of what the hell moments, here's a tow truck driver hooking up a Tesla, which is funny. Seconds after he moves out of the road, this SUV driver sideswipes the Tesla and smashes into the tow truck, nearly killing that tow truck driver. And for what? Because they couldn't put their phone down for 2 minutes? Come on, Seattle drivers, you can do better. Maybe. The driving shenanigans continue, as they always do. The driver of this white car decides to make a U-turn from the middle lane, which lets him get a power assist with the U-turn, courtesy of a fellow driver. The driver of this red car decides to turn left from the right lane, leading to a pretty nasty crash. And this driver is in the left lane instead of the turn lane, meaning another vehicle blocks their view, and they end up in a pretty bad head-on wreck on Aurora. Blocked sightlines also to blame for this crash on Denny. Watch this silver SUV. They think they're clear because of this vehicle turning right, but they're not. They hit another vehicle traveling in the left lane. Now, the driver of the vehicle that was hit jumps out before putting their car in park, and their vehicle unfortunately rolls across the road. Thankfully, it did not hit anything else. It appeared as if that driver was trying desperately to get to the back seat, which makes me worry that there was maybe a car seat back there. Thankfully, no injuries that we are aware of, and a good reminder to pay attention even if you think the road is clear. Look twice, you could save a crash. Of course, Seattle drivers have trouble with left turns even when they're in the correct lane. This seems to be two drivers trying to beat a yellow light. And this driver heading away from us is in the turn lane, but for some reason, they completely fail to yield to oncoming traffic, leading to a pretty bad crash. The driver of this red car also fails to yield while pulling into the road, causing them to get hit from behind. Now, situations like this are why it's great to have a dash camera, as the at-fault driver could easily claim that they were rear-ended. Speaking of situations where it's good to have a dash camera, The driver of this white Subaru is road raging with the driver behind them. Now that driver passes them in the bus lane and then brake checks them, leading to a rear-end collision. Now the driver that brake checked briefly pulled over, but did end up fleeing the scene. Okay, our last clip has a lot going on. First of all, we've got a dude walking down the middle of Rainier Avenue South, which is one of the more dangerous roads in Seattle. Now as he walks off the bottom of the screen, keep an eye on the headlights which have appeared at the top of the screen. This looks like it might have been a high-speed bus lane pass gone terribly wrong. Amazingly, all the occupants of the SUV seemed to be okay, and after spending a few minutes gathering things from the SUV, they decided to just walk it off. Literally, they just walk off into the night. But wait, there's more. A few minutes later, the passenger of this car decides to get out for some reason. They stumble around for a little bit. They almost get hit by the driver of the car that they just got out of, and they wander in front of a bus. They look around the SUV for a little bit, almost walk into the side of that same bus, and then disappear into the night, presumably off on their next grand adventure. And speaking of adventures, our adventure in driving has come to an end. As always, please put on your seatbelt, turn off your phone while you're driving, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time.